Imagine you are standing in a narrow street in Vienna, just as the first pale light of morning touches the rooftops. The year is 1800. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of coal smoke and damp stone. Horse hooves echo softly against the cobblestones. Somewhere, behind shuttered windows, a piano begins to play, hesitant at first, then confident, filling the quiet dawn with sound. This is Vienna at the turn of a century, a city of empire, of elegance, and of restless creative energy. It is not yet the grand modern capital we know. It is smaller, tighter, enclosed by walls that still define its limits. But inside those walls, something extraordinary is unfolding. Vienna is becoming the heart of music. As you walk further into the city, the streets begin to stir. Bakers open their shops, arranging fresh bread in wooden displays. Servants sweep doorways. Carriages begin to move, carrying nobles wrapped in heavy coats. Above all this, music lingers. It drifts from salons, from churches, from the homes of both the wealthy and the struggling. Music is not decoration here. It is a language, a currency, a force that shapes daily life. At the center of this world stands a powerful empire. Vienna is the capital of the Habsburg monarchy, ruled by Emperor Francis II. His court is formal, controlled, and deeply aware of its role in preserving tradition. But beyond the palace walls, the city moves with a different rhythm. The late 18th century has just passed. It was a time of revolution across Europe. In France, kings have fallen. Ideas of freedom and equality have spread like fire. Vienna watches carefully. The authorities are cautious. They maintain order, monitor gatherings, and restrict open political expression. But music becomes a safe space for emotion, for expression, for subtle rebellion. In this environment, composers rise not just as entertainers, but as voices of their time. Picture a modest apartment. The walls are plain, the furniture simple. Sheets of paper are scattered across a desk, covered in ink. A man sits at a piano, his posture tense, his focus absolute. This is Ludwig van Beethoven. In 1800, Beethoven is not yet the legend history will remember. He is in his late 20s, ambitious, intense, already known in Vienna as a brilliant pianist and a bold composer. But he is also carrying something hidden, a growing loss of hearing that he struggles to accept. Listen closely. The notes he plays are powerful, almost defiant. They do not follow the calm balance of the previous generation. They push forward, searching for something new. Vienna has heard masters before. Only a few years earlier, the city mourned the death of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. His music still echoes in concert halls and private gatherings. Elegant, precise, filled with clarity. Mozart had captured the spirit of the classical era, its balance, its beauty, its order. And before Mozart, there was Joseph Haydn. Older now, respected, almost legendary. Haydn had shaped the very foundations of symphonies and string quartets. His influence is everywhere in Vienna, in every structured phrase, in every carefully crafted harmony. But Beethoven stands at a threshold. He has learned from both of them, and now he is beginning to change the direction of music itself. Step outside again. Walk toward one of Vienna's many salons. These are private gatherings hosted by aristocrats. The rooms are warm, lit by candles. Walls are decorated with paintings and mirrors. Guests sit closely together, listening. A string quartet begins. The sound is intimate. Each instrument speaks clearly, weaving together in conversation. The audience listens with attention, not as background noise, but as something meaningful. Here, music is personal. Patrons play a crucial role in this world. Wealthy families support composers, offering them income, housing, and opportunities to perform. In return, they receive music written for their homes, their events, their status. But this relationship is changing. Composers are beginning to seek independence. Public concerts are becoming more common. Tickets are sold. Audiences expand beyond the aristocracy. Music slowly moves from private rooms into shared public spaces. This shift is subtle but important. It reflects a broader change in society. Now imagine walking into a church. The space is vast, filled with echo. Sunlight filters through stained glass. A choir begins to sing. The sound rises, filling every corner, blending voices into a single, powerful expression. Sacred music remains central in Vienna, connects people to tradition, to faith, to something beyond the everyday. Yet even here, the style is evolving. Composers experiment with new forms, new emotional depths. Outside the church, the city continues its rhythm. Markets are busy. Vendors call out their goods. Children run between stalls. Soldiers pass through streets, reminders of a Europe often at war. News travels slowly, but its weight is felt. Political tensions shape the atmosphere, even if they are not openly discussed. And through all of this, music continues. It is in the theater where operas draw large audiences. Stories unfold through song. Love, tragedy, humor, all expressed through melody and voice. The audience reacts openly. They laugh, they cry, they applaud. Opera in Vienna is not just entertainment. It is a reflection of society. It mirrors its values, its tensions, its dreams. Now return to Beethoven. It is evening. A performance is about to begin. The hall is filled with anticipation. Candles flicker. The audience settles into silence. Beethoven steps forward. He is not dressed in the elaborate fashion of aristocrats. His appearance is simple, almost careless. But when he begins to play, everything else fades. The music is bold, unexpected. It moves with a sense of urgency. It does not simply please the listener, it challenges them. Some in the audience are captivated. Others are uncertain. This is the moment when the classical era begins to shift toward something new. The balance and symmetry of the past are still present, but they are being stretched. Emotions become stronger. Structures become more flexible. The music begins to speak in a more personal voice. This transformation does not happen all at once. It unfolds slowly, through performances, through compositions, through the lives of those who create and listen. Vienna becomes the center of this change because it holds both worlds at once. It honors tradition. It nurtures innovation. Look again at the city at night. Lanterns glow along the streets. Carriages move through the darkness. From open windows, music spills out into the cool air. Somewhere, a young musician practices scales. Somewhere else, a composer writes late into the night, searching for the right combination of notes. In another room, a family gathers around a piano, sharing simple songs. Music is everywhere. It connects different layers of society. It moves between public and private spaces. It reflects both stability and change. And at the heart of it all, Vienna listens. It listens to the echoes of Haydn. It remembers Mozart. It begins to understand Beethoven. The city does not yet know that it is living through a turning point, that these sounds will travel far beyond its walls, that they will shape the future of music across continents and generations. But standing here in 1800, you can feel it. There is a quiet tension in the air, a sense that something is shifting. The old forms are still strong. The new ideas are just beginning to emerge. And between them, Vienna becomes more than a city. It becomes a stage, a place where tradition and change meet, where sound becomes history, and where the ordinary moments of daily life are transformed into something lasting. As the night deepens, the music does not stop. It continues, carried through streets, through halls, through memory. And if you stand still, just for a moment, and listen carefully, you can hear the beginning of a new era. Imagine the same city again, but now the day has fully awakened. The streets of Vienna are alive with movement. Sunlight reflects off windows and polished carriage doors. Voices overlap. Merchants negotiating, servants calling, musicians tuning instruments somewhere just out of sight. But listen more carefully. Beneath the ordinary sounds of daily life, there is a deeper rhythm forming. It is not only in the concert halls or the salons. It is in the very structure of the city itself. Vienna breathes in music. It shapes how people gather, how they think, how they feel. Walk toward the Kartnerter Theater. The building stands as a focal point of cultural life. Outside, People gather in anticipation. Some are elegantly dressed nobles. Others are middle-class citizens, carefully saving to attend. The doors open and they step inside together. This blending of audiences is new. Inside, the space glows with candlelight. The stage is set. Musicians prepare quietly, adjusting their instruments. The audience settles, but the energy remains present, almost physical. When the performance begins, it is more than sound. It is a shared experience. Opera unfolds in layers. The orchestra beneath, the voices above, the story carried through both. The audience does not remain silent in the modern sense. They respond. They whisper. They react in real time. Music here is alive, not distant. Now step away from the theater and into a quieter street. There is a building with worn steps and a simple entrance. Inside, students gather around a teacher. They hold violins, flutes, and sheet music marked with careful notes. Music education is expanding. Young musicians come to Vienna from across Europe. They arrive with hope, with ambition, with the belief that this city holds something essential. Teachers pass down knowledge, but also expectation, precision, discipline, expression. The tradition continues, but it is no longer fixed. In one corner of the room, a student struggles with a passage. The notes are correct, but something is missing. The teacher listens, then speaks quietly. Do not only play the notes, listen to what they are trying to say. This idea, this shift toward expression is becoming central. Return again to Ludwig van Beethoven. It is late afternoon. Light filters through a small window. He sits alone, writing. The room is silent except for the faint scratching of a pen. His face is tense, focused. The world around him is changing, but so is something within him. His hearing continues to fade. At first, it is subtle, a ringing, a dullness in certain tones. But gradually, it becomes impossible to ignore. Conversations are harder. Sounds become distant, unreliable. And yet, his music grows stronger. He begins to write not only what he hears, but what he imagines, what he feels. The internal sound becomes more powerful than the external one. This is where Vienna becomes more than a setting. It becomes a pressure point. The expectations of the past remain. The influence of Joseph Haydn still shapes musical form. The memory of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart still defines elegance and clarity. But Beethoven begins to stretch these boundaries. His compositions grow longer, more intense, more personal. Some listeners are unsettled. Others begin to understand. Now imagine a public concert hall again. But this time, something feels different. The audience is larger. The atmosphere is more focused. There is less conversation, more attention. The idea of listening is changing. Music is no longer only a social activity. It is becoming something to experience deeply, almost privately, even in a crowded room. This transformation reflects a broader shift in Vienna's society. The middle class is growing. Merchants, professionals, and educated citizens gain influence. They bring new expectations. They want access to culture. They want to participate, not just observe. Music responds to this demand. Publishers begin to print and sell sheet music more widely. Families purchase pianos. Even in modest homes, music becomes part of daily life. Picture a small apartment. A candle burns on a wooden table. A young woman practices a simple melody. Her fingers move carefully, repeating the same passage again and again. This is not a performance. There is no audience. And yet, it matters. Music becomes a private companion, a form of self-expression, a way to connect with something beyond routine. Outside, the political world continues its tension. Europe is still unsettled after revolution. The rise of Napoleon Bonaparte casts a long shadow. His influence spreads across the continent, bringing both change and uncertainty. Vienna remains cautious. Authorities monitor gatherings. They control information. Stability is valued above all. But music moves differently, carries emotion without direct words. It expresses ideas without clear statements. It allows people to feel deeply, even when they cannot speak freely. In this way, music becomes both safe and powerful. Return once more to a performance. Beethoven's work is being played. The orchestra begins softly, then builds. Themes emerge, develop, return in unexpected forms. There is a sense of journey. The audience follows, not always comfortably, but with growing attention. They begin to listen for meaning, not just beauty. This is new. The classical era had valued balance, order, clarity. Now, those qualities remain, but they are joined by something else. Struggle, contrast, individual voice. This is the beginning of a transition, not yet fully defined, but clearly present. Now step outside the concert hall into the cool evening air. Vienna continues as it always has. People walk home, conversations resume, life moves forward. But something has changed. The experience of music lingers. It shapes how people think about themselves, about emotion, about the world around them. This is how cultural shifts happen. Not all at once, but gradually through repeated moments, through listening, through creation, through memory. Now imagine the city from above. The walls still surround it. The streets form a network of narrow paths and open squares. Lights appear one by one as night deepens. Inside these walls, countless lives unfold. A composer writing by candlelight, a musician practicing in a quiet room, a family sharing a simple song, an audience sitting in silence, listening. Each moment seems small, but together they form something lasting. Vienna becomes more than the sum of its parts. It becomes a center, not only of music, but of transformation. The classical era does not end suddenly. It evolves. It expands. It gives way to something broader, more expressive, more personal. And Vienna stands at that turning point. The sounds created here will travel far beyond the city. They will shape how music is written, performed, and understood for generations. But standing here in 1800, none of that is certain. What is certain is the present moment. The sound of a piano in the distance. The echo of voices in a theater. The quiet focus of a composer at work. The shared silence of an audience listening. These are the foundations of something new. As the night settles over Vienna, the city grows still, but not silent, because even in the quiet, music remains. It exists in memory, in imagination, in the spaces between sounds. And if you stand here just for a moment longer and listen carefully, you can hear not only what Vienna was, but what it is becoming.